Yo, what's up, dudes? How you doing? We're back. I feel like there's another screen I need here. So today we have a F-150. This is the Tremor edition, so it's super cool. Did you know that they enabled proximity sensors on F-150s now? I didn't know that. So when you walk up to the truck, it just kind of like lights up. It knows the key is nearby. That is cool. That's really, really cool. So we're getting set up here. That shouldn't be coming out of there. That should be coming out of here. There we go. So we're going to be doing this whole thing in ceramic. We're doing the 70. We're doing 70% on the windshield, 20% on the front doors, 30%, 35% on the rear. Oh, look at that. We just plug these in. We click this button. Bam. Nothing happened. Why did nothing happen? Oh, there we go. Something happened. Good. Things are happening. Deactivate, activate. Da, 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 da. Look, we're already ready to go. That was so quick. Got an extra battery on standby. The only thing that I'm missing is then the microphone, which is over there. It's this guy. I need this guy. All right. Where's my chat? Where are you guys? I see ya. Fast M, Supreme, Fire, Clearview, Tony. What up? I didn't have time to set up my head strap today. I have a new headband. It's the same one, it's just new. This one's getting gross. You know, couple years of use. I'm about to do 70 ceramic on front 3 windows and 35 in the rear. Nice, very cool. Ceramic is a good day. Always a good day to do ceramic. All right. We good? Is this on? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So there is a thunderstorm outside now. It just kind of blew in out of nowhere, as far as I can tell. And if the power randomly cuts out, you know why. Or the internet. Or anything like that. But hopefully not. LKB, how you doing? Been a minute, old man. How you been? I'm old man now. Son. Any tips for registration stickers on windshield tint? To be honest, I'm not quite sure. I would ask the Facebook group. There's paper ones, and some, I don't know, I hear little bits here and there. So I've seen like ugly cutouts, literally like paper stickers are there, and then they just do a super ugly cutout around it. But there's actually like a good reason why they do that. They kind of get destroyed if you try and remove them, so then they have to go get another registration sticker. So every state's going to be different. I don't know which states that applies to or not. But if it wasn't a paper one, it'd be easier to be removed, but I'm sure not completely fun. Ask in the Facebook group, why did they move that there? Ugh. Windows, okay, like, can we... All right, I'm showing you this for a reason. Can Windows stop doing this? You do this, and then it pops up like a giant screen over what you're doing here automatically. Can you stop? They, like, really want people to use these things. Can it just die in a fire? Because the thing is, here's my mouse. Set it here, and then it slides down, and then it does this. And this is going to happen... This is going to happen like 100 times. God, they did it over here, over in this corner, and now it's over here. Just stop. I got the paper ones. It was a pain to get off, but scared to put it back on. So as far as putting them back on, I would do some type of like I would stick it to something else. Kind of like laminate it in a way and then lightly tack it back to the window. Some people were telling me about, like, I don't know, you can search like, yeah, ask in the Facebook groups. I don't remember what the product is called. Unless I'm not sure where my plastic knife is right now. That's kind of annoying. What's happening? Thunderstorms. Thunderstorms are happening. Can you unpin that? Maybe. They just moved it. I gotta look at it. There's usually settings and something that you could toggle, but it's just... They don't know how to make They don't know how to make stuff that's not annoying. They're always in this like, okay, now we're making our software free, so now we got to do a bunch of ads and push things in front of people's faces. I mean, they've been on that trend for a while, but there's a reason why they moved it over to the left from the right, and it was annoying on the right-hand side, but now it's really annoying right by the little search bar there. Imagine power goes out mid-shrink. I actually had a car set up here, so it's happened one time. And it actually, I don't think was from a storm. It just was reasonably windy outside, and it hasn't done it since. So I'll explain that part. They've redone the electrical here, which is good. But you know, power can always go out in an area, so hopefully it's not going to. I'm really not expecting it to. Power here has been fine. There was just one day last year. I had a Kia K5 pulled in, all set up, ready to go, live stream. I was like a minute away from clicking go live. And then the power just went out and then never came back on. So then we had to reschedule it. The problem too is the lighting, so I know I could get a generator or something, but I should. I don't know if I'd ever use it, but I guess that's why generators are handy. Excuse me. Are Jeep Rubicons easy? They're okay. I mean, yeah, they're pretty flat windows. The seals are a little wide, though. It's a Jeep. It's like all the other Jeeps. Or it's like all the other Wrangler Jeeps. So, it might be for you. No, we'll be fine. We'll be good. Do I have to shrink the windows? I shrink everything. You probably don't absolutely have to, but I always shrink everything a little bit. Even Jeeps. So, you're asking the wrong person about shrinking doors. I always shrink any door, just a little bit. It sounds like it kind of blew through here a little bit already, but it was kind of crazy. It was really dark, and I'm like, wow, that looks dark outside right now. As I'm checking this one in. No rain, get it pulled in. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh God. My wife is supposed to swing by here, but not now. I don't shrink many doors anymore. Then I'll shrink more doors. I'll shrink them twice. Just because. Yeah, especially if you're pulling the seals. The reason is the seal will hold water and can cause, you know, water to sit there and then fingers pop back up if you didn't shrink them. So if you pull seals especially, then you don't have to as much. Uh-oh, now there's sirens. It's just chaos outside. Everything was all nice and cheery, and now it's crazy. Let's just relax and do this one, right? This has an interesting fabric on the top of it. It's like, actually it's like I don't think it's fabric. I think it's soft touch. I think it's still a soft touch panel. It just kind of gives the appearance of fabric, or it's, I don't know. It's interesting. It's cool. I like the stitching. You're my teacher. I use these lives as class. Good. Thank you. That's exactly what they are. You guys want tint class without going to a tint class? That's what these always have been. Here we go. Okay, let's turn that off. Don't make sounds at me, please. Thank you. Cool. Oh, I finally got my other air compressor all set up. So the air compressor that I have been using was a cheesy little flat one that you kind of put it against the wall. And then when we filled up 6 kegs, it didn't like that, and it's been struggling ever since. It sounds like it's just not going to work. There's one day I turned it on, it did nothing, and then I gave it one of these, like, pa! And then it started working. Oh, hey, it's like legitimate. It should be turning on right now. It's not. Oh my God, that couldn't come at a better time. Are you serious? It's actually dead? No way. Whew. Oh, that's perfect timing then. Okay, cool. So that's broken now. Don't get those. They're cool. They're actually totally fine for light use, but if you use it for any normal extended period of time, then they don't work. But I put one of these, there's usually just an air track, but I put one of these clip ones on. So this is really, really handy for the keg. I maybe should grab that and show you guys. Oh, wait, no, I'll show you on this one. So they have valve stems at the top, and this is the air compressor that I got for, what was it, for the balloon, because it's quiet. So I had this one sitting around here, so this pops on here, just sticks there, and then you can, is this one broken? Is everything broken now? Is that what's going on? Oh, there we go. So you can clip it on, fill it up, and you don't have to stand there and hold it, so it's nice. I don't know. Or I could get like a normal air compressor and it wouldn't take very long. But it's so quiet. But I like this. This is really nifty. You just like, whoop. These are cool. I like them. Where's my, oh, whatever, valve stem cover that I probably yoinked off another car. Okay. Would I be okay to do a windshield without a soak rope? So I do windshields without soak ropes from time to time, but I replace it with a really beefy towel. So I would use both. If not for like a soak shield, I would definitely use something like to shove him in the dash. No. You. Don't say that shit. Don't use a lot of water. I literally did mine this morning, and it's fine. Yeah. Here's the thing. A lot of them would probably be fine. The problem is until it's not. So yeah, Before soak shields, nobody had soak ropes in there, and you know what was happening? You put some towels on the dashboard, you try and protect it as much as you can, and occasionally you fuck up a vehicle. So, just be careful, okay? I hate broad statements like that. I did mine this morning. It's fine, so that means it's okay on everything. Yeah, okay, bud. Okay. So I'll look at the dash, I'll see how much room there is, and then if I can use both, I use both. If not, I'll use the towel. And then if the towel gets in the way, I will keep it in there until I'm ready to install it, and then I will usually pull it. That progressively gets riskier and riskier. I have the fancy towel from Sun Distributing. Good. But there's not a lot of room. There's enough room. Depends on the vehicle. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes there are. Sometimes there is. You're right. Like sometimes there is not much room, but there's usually room to at least shove it in there in the beginning and prep it all. And then if you want to leave it in there or not. But that's kind of like the issue with all windshields then. Because you really gotta do something to protect it. Don't show up for lives for a month and I forget how to take jokes. Oh, I hear everybody the same, so. It's very monotone. Let's see. Did you read my message on Facebook about the golf carts ads that are not running as I paid for? No, I didn't actually. I didn't see that yet. I'll have to check it out. Really? If they're not showing yours there? That's great. T-Town had a company call me to do some ad. I denied though. That sucks. Well then it was a shitty scam. Where did you buy the little air valve? Okay, let me pull that up because I talked about it and I didn't show it. It was definitely a Amazon special. Oh my God. Drives me crazy. Sorry. This is gonna happen to me a million times. That's why I was already upset about it. Every time I drop my mouse and I'm looking at a window, it's gonna keep doing this over and over and over again. Options. Search settings. Can we just off. Is this actually turning it off or no? I'm assuming that's not. Microsoft account, no. Worker school account, allow. Oh, this is like search data. Permissions. Hey. Show task view button. Oh, no. I don't know what that is. Lock alt taskbar settings. Right click. All right, somebody want to figure out how to get rid of it for me so I'm not like digging through menus for a little bit, because this is what happens. There's probably a way to do it, but it's yikes. Well, that wasn't good. Anyways, clip air chuck. So these guys. But mine came with a. Oh, I tried to buy this one, but then it didn't have ship. Like it didn't ship. So I don't know. Maybe your luck will be better than mine. I ordered this, and then I ordered this just so I could have a little screw-in thing, and I didn't feel like walking into a store and buying one at the time. Just too many other things. So I ordered this just in case these didn't work very well, but I ordered both of them. So that's kind of what you're looking for. They're really, really nice though. They're actually like pretty hefty. But yeah, like a clip-on air chuck is essentially what it is. That's what I searched. That's how I found it. All right. Well, let's go put another piece on here. Have you ever had the tint come off when removing the towel? You can have that happen. You can have that happen with a soak shield or a towel or anything shoved into the bottom. So it's possible, but the way to help prevent that is use this, like something like this, a tool that you can, or an easy reach that you can slide in between there, so as you're pulling out the towel, you're holding the tint from pulling out. So that'll help. That'll fix it, because yeah, if you just go yank it out of there, on a tight one, it'll definitely pull the tint. Alrighty. We didn't like that piece. We didn't like that car anyways. Or that piece. We didn't like that piece anyways. How many cars could you get done with a 100-foot roll? Without waste, you can get about 8-ish cars done. Kind of just depends on the size, but about there. Like if that's a 36 or a 40. So you get quite a few cars done out of one full roll of tint. So let's get this lined up. We'll start getting these cut out. So we're doing this sideways. This is why we test things. Oh, no shit. It already has a little nick in it. Well, that's good to know. Recently did a windshield. Client said windshield looks slightly distorted. However, when I looked at it, it looked fine. I don't know if I should refund and move on. I think I kind of know what they're talking about. I've seen it happen. What film did you use on it? Depends on the film. Because sometimes some films can have a little bit of a texture. After they're installed, could be just the lot number, or somebody's a little bit more sensitive. Windshields already have like a rippling to them if you look at them at extreme angles. I think it can be something like something like low angle haze, where some people notice it and some people don't. And some films look really, really good, and some films, like, God, it can be such a subtle thing, but it's hard to explain. I don't know. If they're really, really bugging you, or, I mean, I don't mean it like that, but like if they're like, yeah, it just doesn't seem, it seems just kind of distorted. I mean, the only way you could really be sure is like remove part of it and then have them look at it and see, and then possibly then retint it for them and then see if the next one's better. You could contact Express and see if they'll replace the roll for you, because you know that can always happen. I've had bad rolls with with most companies. Like here and there, you'll just get something that doesn't turn out quite right. I try and fix it, but yeah, where did that black knife go? I was so happy with that knife too. I must have, it either fell out of my belt somewhere or I set it down, which is very normal for me to set it down and then not know where I set it down. Okay. What squeegee are you using? I'm using a super secret one that I can't really talk about, but I have to still find time to try. So this is as much as you get to see right now. The color isn't final, but the shape and stuff, that's all, that's what it's gonna be. I just can't talk too much about it other than there's something that's pretty exciting coming out. It's not mine though. It's not a Detroit Tint Studio one. But it's cool. I dig it. I think they need to fix the material a little bit more though. So it was mostly like a mold sample to check out like the shape and stuff like that, but the material is supposed to be similar to what they want to use, and I think they need to refine it a little bit more. It's not quite as good, but that's why we do tests. Oh my God, there it is. That's where the blade or the knife went. Sweet. Okay, cool. Do you ever find your fusion? I don't. Maybe. I don't think so. I was teaching a class, and then like we were cleaning up, and then like we were just putting a bunch of stuff away. So I had an extra one, and so like I might have found it, but I'm not 100% sure if I did or not. I don't feel like I have any more, so here, let me take this. We're gonna put this back in this one. That's how much I like this blade. I was trying to find this yesterday. Of course, it was just in my toolbox. Oh my God. But man, is this cheesy. It's not a refined knife. I gotta like work with it, but it does really, really good cuts. Okay. So we're gonna put that there. This is just an extra holder now. And then we got our two. So let's go ahead and do this. Oh. You should make your own green and black Detroit Tint Studio knife. You know, off of this plastic one, I think that would be okay. Is it a red dot replacement? No. Is it for top edges? Yeah, that's basically all it is. But it would essentially be no different from all the other plastic knives. The only tricky part about that is kind of explaining to people that only like, you know, they go to the site, they see a knife, they buy it, and then they're like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I thought I could tint a whole car with that one. But I'll think about it. Okay, let's round that. this off round. Ooh. Yep, that looks good. Make a top edge knife, and then a steel alpha type knife. I use Gasket Pro Tools quick shave knife. Okay. Gotcha. I'd pretty much do the same thing. The red dot is already like super good. So trying like to remake a knife from the ground up is definitely out of my realm right now. I think I could make it like a little bit more refined, but be expensive. You're talking about like stainless steel stamping and stuff like that. Because oh, I don't know. Just making anything is expensive. I have a question. I failed on a 22 Ram 2500 single cab on the manual sliding back window. 22 Ram single cab manual sliding. Have you done one of those before? On a 22 Ram? They have a manual sliding window on a 22 Ram? Really? I haven't seen one. Every truck that I've done has been a power slider for like a long time. It's only like old trucks that come in with a manual window. But there shouldn't be all that crazy to do. Just a little unique. Probably work truck edition. That's true. It has handles that are really hard to cut around. Oh, okay. So I've definitely done similar stuff. I just would have to see it. I have an old video on cutting around those tabs. The thing is, you're not going to be able to get a perfect cut if there's nowhere to tuck the film. If there is a little border, then you can hide all the gaps. If it's just like a plastic handle, just like glued to the window, then you have to start on like the outmost section, and you can kind of like create a little relief cut and then trim around it. They can be a little tedious to cut out. Then I would seal up the edges as much as I could and take like a tint marker or something and fill in the gaps. I don't think you're going to be able to get it perfect. Have you ever tried vehicle wrap? Yes. Yes, I've tried it. I just don't do it. It's the tractor guy. If you have a chance, shout out. Whoa, man. No free shout outs, yo. But people in chat will read it. Tried using her plotters. Tried using her plotter, but the cuts were off. Ugh. Isn't that the worst? When you go to try and... When you go and try and cut it out on a plotter, and then, yeah, it doesn't work. That sucks. So shit. My work just started it. Well, you gotta make it good. Do you shrink these on the side? Yeah, if I'm cutting them out this way, I'll do them on the side. I gotta order a bunch of ceramic. So many, like I meant to order at the beginning of this week and then I got distracted with the class. So many, this week have been, oh God, how do I want to do this? So many jobs this week, and last week, like, so I had the class, but I had a lot of ceramic jobs last week, and then I've had a lot of ceramic jobs leading up to the end of this week, and, you know, I'm reasonably stocked on it. I just all of a sudden, like, okay, I probably gotta order a bunch of short rolls and shit, too. I'm definitely more used to, like, Pro Classic being my standard and then having a bunch of, like, extra short rolls of that. But now, a lot more ceramic. So I gotta stock up on those things in the same way that I stock up in the Pro Classic. I just always like buy long rolls of Pro Nano. And then the job was like, I don't know, here and there. Like we do carbon, we do ceramic. They'd be like frequent enough, but it wouldn't be crazy. Now it's just crazy how many more ceramic jobs on average that we're doing, which is super cool to see. Once you go ceramic, hard to go back. I know it. We finally, so I tinted the Blazer windshield in 50, and the side doors. And we're glad to have it back. We're really glad to drive around with it. We've driven around without it for the past month because of the last class. Oh, it just makes life so much comfy. So much more comfy. How good is 70 on the windshield? 70 is awesome. You'll notice some companies, they like their 70s or their really light ceramics are almost sometimes better spec than their darker films. So when ceramic was first coming out, when like there would be basically like their main ceramic line of film, and then there would be like an ultra premium in a really light shade. And that's the same thing with Geo Pro Nano. The 70% has a little bit more IR block than any of the other ones. But you gotta look at the specs of all of them. So that's why I always say like 75 to like 85%. So with the darker shades, it doesn't block out more IR, but it does block out more glare. So it's got other benefits to it, and obviously like, hey, I don't want all my windows to just be 70. Hello, Tint Studio, how can I help you? Okay. Uh-huh. I'm sorry, it's nothing we could get in today. The earliest I could get it in would be Thursday. But it would be... Oh, yeah, yeah. I remember. Okay. Yeah, well, Thursday will work fine, if that's good for you. Okay, cool. I get a lot of calls on Saturday, and like so many people are like, "Hey, can I get tint done today?" So I thought All right, perfect. So yeah, I'll have somebody coming in Wednesday. Actually, let me look at Monday. Somebody was supposed to kind of follow up with somebody on Monday. Let me put you down for them for Thursday. There's a possibility I might have a 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock opening on Monday. Well, it would be Monday, the 23rd. So like, just right around the corner here. Okay, we'll plan for Thursday then. I'll mark you down for Thursday. We do take a deposit to confirm the appointment, but it goes right towards the balance. So what I'm going to do is I'll send you a link to our booking site, and then once I get that for Thursday the 26th at 10 a.m., you'll be all set. The deposit's $40. I think I quoted you like $100 for that, like a little while ago. I remember. Yeah, I remember the phone call. Mm-hmm. Yep. So you'd be $100 for that. Alrighty. Well, it goes towards the balance, so you'd be 60. Yeah. No, hey, no. It's all good. Yeah, that comes right off the top. Alrighty, sounds good. I'll shoot that right over to you. Uh-huh, no problem. See ya. Cool. That is the last day. There. Okay, cool. And I gotta follow up with a couple other people that I'm pretty sure are coming in, but haven't left deposits yet. So that's always fun. I like that knife. Where can I get it? This one, like this black one, or the other one. This one was literally out of a black magic kit. So just get a cheap plastic knife, or go buy the black magic kit. Like literally, it's that knife. Do you charge a deposit for regular customers? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and some of them, like, they've been here at this point. Like, God, I just have somebody. We did his Ram TRX on stream. Then he sold it not too long after, brought in a charger. We did that one, and then I think he brought it back in to have the windshield and the front doors removed, because he did it like super dark, and then I think he got in trouble for it. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And then he just called me the other day, or yesterday, and wants to schedule a 22 Civic. So I'll still do deposits for everybody, and I tell them, I'm like, I know you're gonna come in, but we still just take deposits to confirm the appointments, because at this point, it's like it becomes a mess on the schedule. So if I don't see there's a confirmed appointment there, then I'll book something over that spot, forgetting that I told somebody to then come in or whatnot. So I'm always just making sure that everything's squared away. because it just makes it chaotic. So I'll tell them I know they're coming in and just, hey. Still need to pause it just to make sure I keep track of my own schedule. That type of stuff. There's that. So I think we're pretty good on this one. Oh, it shut off. Of course you did. Of course you did. Ugh. Yeah, the nice thing too is, you know, when they left a deposit the first time, they're not really questioning doing it a second time. Yeah, I think I'm a little wide on this one. Felt like it. But I wasn't sure. So let me just trim this off a little bit. You know what I mean? Match that up. Okay, that's good. Perfect. So you can roll this window down a bunch, but this is the thing about rear truck windows. Is the truck window slides down into the seal as it's kind of falling out of here. So a good amount of this is already like tucked into the door. So you cut what you can and then you guesstimate the rest of it, but everything is down there in the seal. So you just don't want to overlap the film or it'll push on the side seal. Just make sure that it's all lined up there as close as it can be without causing it to peel in the future or something weird. Don't do home tinting. I don't do it, but yeah, home tinting's a great business. Commercial, architectural, it's great. I'm just not looking to run around like that. They can't. Unfortunately, they can't bring their houses here. I wish they could. Maybe a mobile home. Okay, so F-150s, they're really big. Big windows. They are not very curved. But what did we say about the Jeep? I usually shrink everything some. So being that I flip the roll sideways when I cut these out, you know, normally the roll is this way, you unroll it, and then you have to shrink on the bottom. Unrolled it this way, so then we have to shrink on this side. So I'm going to snap shrink these just like I would on the bottom edge, because this is essentially my bottom edge now. It's just on the side. These F-150s are pretty square. So they're probably a little longer on the bottom than the side, but being that they're not very flat, or they are pretty flat, just a light snap should do it. On the front doors, this bottom edge is much longer. So what I've run into is on like the Rams, if you snap shrink on the sides, sometimes it's not quite enough to shrink the whole window. The Rams have a little bit more curve to them, so you might have something pop up on the bottom. I would rather just shrink on the bottom, but when it makes more sense, save film, flip the roll sideways, then I do them this way. But yeah, somebody mentioned earlier, 24-inch rolls on trucks are awesome. 24s on stuff like the F-150s, GMC Sierras, and the Silverados. Definitely handy to keep those around. And then on the Rams, you can do just 20-inch rolls if you want to save a little bit more film. It's up to you. but 24 will cover all the trucks. And then when it comes to doing the back window, and especially when the back window is one long piece of film or one solid piece of glass and it's not a slider, if you don't have a short roll, it really sucks. If you have a plotter, you can do usually the back doors and the back windows together, so that helps. But if you're hand cutting and then you do the back doors, front doors, all off of a long roll, and you get to the back window and it's all one big piece of glass, it's not very efficient. Have you ever tried to tint a car that somebody lives out of? Ooh. Maybe. But, okay, there's like, I've tinted some pretty nasty cars. One that I remember, the rear was literally covered in cat litter. Just like the whole rear seat and down at the, like there was just probably about an inch of cat litter through the whole thing. It was pretty nasty. But yeah, exactly that. His price range probably keeps those types of people away. Yeah, so I haven't seen anything like that in a long time. It would have been when when I was at my dad's shop. But we were pretty cheap when we first opened up that place. We were like 160, like I think it was like $169 for like all the sides and the rear. They're much better now. Have you tried Scorpion? A little bit. Scorpion's kind of like, they've got decent branding, but their film choices are definitely a little bit more budget. So I think some of their higher end films, they carry decent stuff. Their economy films can be kind of sketch though. I've definitely seen like their most economy films a couple years later, and they were brown. So but their higher stuff was better, so just kind of depends. This is just kind of one of those things that you gotta watch out. I'd say from pretty much every company, always ask general impressions in like Facebook and just kind of get broad opinion, and then try like put it on your own car, leave it on there for a little while, and like see how you like it. Kind of gets obnoxious for like waiting for film to fade. I should experiment with that. I had a pretty cool way to do that. I don't know how scientific it was. But I made some cheap Chinese film fade inside of 2 weeks, so that was cool. Do you think Lexan got better since you did your review? Well, as far as I can tell, the HSA did not get any easier to shrink. I don't think film really changes that rapidly. So, not really, but they have different SKUs. So people have been telling me to then try a different SKU. I get really tired of the whole, like, this is the problem. And this is how a lot of film companies get by selling shit for so long. But then there's a lot of tinters that are cheap too, so like it's just this endless cycle. And I just don't even like to deal with it. The cost of saving a little bit of film is never worth the risk of putting your branding at risk, dealing with a ton of redos. Like, it's just a little bit of savings is never worth it for me. But, you know, I get where people are coming from. There's definitely a market for it. It's just, I can never say with any level of confidence that an inexpensive film is quality, because it's, you know, you don't know until you've had it on a car for until it eventually fails, and maybe it doesn't, and that would be amazing. So do that on your own car. Let it sit on there until you feel confident in putting it on your customer vehicles. You know, you're kind of just taking a gamble with it. Because I've been there. I've been through film failures. I've gotten cheap films. Saver? Anybody know ASWF Saver? I thought it was a great budget line. Like, looks good, shrinks well, installs good, seems to hold up decently. But then come year 2, come year 3, you get the occasional person that comes back and you're like, oh shit, this is changing colors now. What is year 4? How long of a warranty do we put on this? 4-year warranty? Oh boy. It could turn into a pretty substantial headache. Now, there are lots of people that swap out their vehicles, they sell them, they don't even think about the warranty, they don't necessarily notice the fading because it happens so gradually. So until it's like really bad, some people don't even bring it back, or then they had a door glass broken and then they bring it back to get tinted and they're like, yeah, tint it in the same film. And then you tint it in the same film and then it really doesn't match because the stuff that you have on there is sun faded and the new roll looks nice and new. You can't match sun faded, so then you're, oh, well, I want it to match. So then, you know, it's under warranty, so then you're responsible for fixing it, right? Or at least that's usually the disclaimer you gave your customers, so. So it's like, I don't know, it can get pretty risky, but it depends on what type of business and clients that you want to attract. Just doing cheaper prices and promising that it's going to be just as good as any other film out there, it's up to you. But this one looks good. Ooh. 20. Oh, okay. Yeah. Toyota Venza scratched some sort of factory coating. Do you know what that is? Actually, yes, I do. That sucks. Oh yeah, look at this. See? It's kind of feels like a fabric. I didn't look at it for very long, but then kind of noticed the texture on it. It's definitely like a soft touch, But with the stitching and everything, it kind of has the illusion of being a fabric. That's cool. Yeah, wipes clean. That's nice, so it's easy to take care of. Doesn't soak into anything. Okay, so 22 Venza. I think they started this with Lexus. So Lexus owns Toyota. I haven't seen it specifically on that, but it sounds exactly like what they were doing on the Lexuses, and I've heard they cross over into Toyotas. So on some of those vehicles, they are putting some type of a coating on the surface of the inside of the glass, and it appears like slightly yellow. And you can scratch it, you can scrape it. So you have to double check all Toyota glass now, apparently. I'm sorry for your luck on that one. But it's been a very gradual thing. Like they came out on like three-ish years ago, I think, at this point. I started seeing like on these Lexus vehicles, like on a particular model, and I was like, oh, well, it's only like one type of car. And then like, I think a couple years later, I first heard of it coming to like a Toyota, or somebody in the group said like, hey, we saw it on some Toyotas, and I was like, oh, and now they're putting it. That sounds like they're gonna put that on everything. That's great. Yeah, so I guess you can't scrape them. So if anything has to get retinted, I don't even know yet. So tell the clients, double check all your Toyotas. This goes for everybody there then, or everybody anywhere. If you get a new Toyota, just double check the glass. Look for a coating. If it's got it, definitely don't scrape it. And potentially let your clients, or I'd let your clients know that it's kind of if it's a one-shot go. Because it's kind of risky too, because if you tint it and something peels, you're gonna fuck up that coating trying to fix it. I don't know. I genuinely not sure yet. Because let's say it's on the door, and then something peels on you, and then you got to redo it. Or, they get pulled over, they want their front doors removed. Like you're gonna completely fuck up the coating. And I haven't tried to scrape it off yet, but I've heard it's kind of a pain to do. What's the coating called? I don't know. Some glass coating. I just start searching new Toyota glass coating, asking the groups, other people that have dealt with it, and potentially what other shops doing. I know there's been some group posts about it, but again, I haven't really paid attention to that very much. But now that it's popping up on a Venza, yikes. That kind of means like, oh, hey, it started as like a nice test on our higher end, and we like it, so now we're just going to put it on everything. So it went from like, oh, I wouldn't be too concerned about it, to like, oh, fuck. Thanks, Toyota. I don't know. It's either a UV or an IR thing. I think I'd be interested to see if it's an IR coating. On something cheaper like that, I don't know. I'm guessing like probably some of their higher end models in that range. This is where I get a big sigh of relief, though, because I don't do very many Toyotas, but I know there's people that do a lot of them. Just depends on where you are. Here we're more big three. I mean, you guys see them all the time. So Ford, Chrysler, and GM. We just, you know, it's Detroit. We got, it's the Motor City. So, you know, being by Ford and Chrysler plants, you know, we're gonna have a couple more of those here. But they sell everything here still. Just, I don't know. For like my whole tinting career, I haven't done all that many Toyotas. They're usually like one of the lesser popular ones here. Or the people that are buying them here just don't get tint on them all that often. I don't know. I just don't do a lot of them. Oh, come on. I need to do this faster. There we go. So when you snap it on the side, I like to do it all in one go. And then if you got to seal down this inside edge too, or else it can like, too much tension, I'll pull it up. So just do it reasonably quick. Same thing for a bottom edge. But I think I snapped that a little bit more. Bum biddy bum. Do you have to shrink the top edge? No. No, on door windows, there's not as much to shrink as a back window. So, kind of moving everything, moving all the bulk of your film to the bottom, and then snapping the bottom will take care of anything. I like not shrinking the top. I've worked with people, actually one person that shrunk the top. He had his reasons for doing it. I think it was like kind of justified, but I always liked having the film completely flat up there with no like shrinking ripples and stuff, locking it in place. And then at that point, everything goes out the bottom. But he did it opposite. He would shrink the tops. Yeah, this guy. I keep getting little creases on the side when I two-stage. Heat them out. If they're little, they're definitely touch-upable. I mean, you see me do that at the end. I do that all the time. Depends on the seal. So on these F-150s, they're going to be really forgiving. On something a lot tighter, you know, let's use the Jeep that we were talking about earlier. On a Jeep, it's pretty common to have some folds there. So then I'll take a heat gun, warm it up, press out all the air, and it's not an issue. Hi, I'm new. Is this a pre-recorded stream? No, you're not. Any advice on Sunstrips? I seem to struggle with them. I don't really know how. What's your problem with them? I'm not the biggest fan of doing them. YouTube video made it look easy to remove rear view mirror. I tried it and it went flying in the rear seats. What rear view mirror? Is that a Ford? Did a ram last night, had fingers on the sides pointing the wrong direction. Oh, okay. So it depends on the size of the windshield strip. With a ram, there's definitely more curve up in that area, and the ram windshields. See, I've done plenty of rams here, so I'm way more familiar with rams than Toyotas. So they tend to curve quite a bit here. So like the bulk of what you got to shrink is always in these top corners. So I would honestly just tack it at the bottom and then just shrink the top. And then when you do your Sunstrip, you're not going to be fighting a bunch of fingers in there. You can heat up and press out fingers on the inside of Sunstrips. But yeah, if it's giving you a headache, depends on how big that strip is. Most windshield strips you're not going to have to shrink, but again. There's definitely no harm in shrinking stuff ahead of time. So most people aren't going to shrink a windshield strip, but you know, if they're bigger and the glass is more curved, then you'll get a bunch of those popping up. Just shrink it before you install it. Currently using, oh wait. Only painting with visors, cutting out all the mirror junk and the windshields. Yep, I agree. Getting around all the stuff. So like, when they're like this F-150, it is annoying too, because these dots are a little bit more dense. But you should cover that up, and then that goes into the bottom edge here. So it's kind of hard to see when you're cutting out a dark windshield strip. But these ones, probably not as curved as the Rams are, but same thing. If something were to pop up on the inside, like I would, just if I had fingers popping up the inside, shrink it a little bit ahead of time and you'll be totally fine. But yeah, I don't like cutting around all this stuff. Currently using Lexan. Once they become more good, that's when I start buying something more great like Geo, correct? Yes and no. I've never said Lexan is a great starter film. Cheap carbon's hard to shrink. I have a video that's on it, so watch that. Cutting and installing doors, totally fine. Shrinking back windows, that's where you're gonna have some issues. So if you can shrink it, then you're all right. It's just always harder to shrink that film, or a lot of cheaper carbon film. So just keep that in mind. I suggest like a cheap dyed film instead. It'll be just as easy as a premium film for installation. So, yeah. A couple more times. Never cutting a curved strip? Yeah, I don't do that either. Some windshields, I mean, you could get a similar curve, but I've seen quite a few windshields that don't have the same curve, or the top is cut out differently. So like this is a great example. That contour up there, you see how it juts down and then comes back up and then over? You have no guide there to cut out like a nice curved windshield strip. You'd probably have to maybe just like hand cut a nice fine line here, but then you're looking at it up there, so that's got to be like dead straight and you have no guide to follow. No like fixed guide. So if your hand wiggles a little bit or something like that, you'll definitely see that. Oh, it was 12 and a half, 12 and a half inch strip. That's a pretty big one. See, everybody's interpretation of windshield strips is always different. Some people do really, really big ones on vehicles, like for customers, right? Like, yeah, just a strip on the top. Okay, cool. They're like, then they point to like half the windshield, and you're like, whoa, wait. That's a little bit long for a windshield strip. So I've ran into that where like I put a strip up here and then the guy's like, oh, no, I want my strip to go down here. And we're like, all right, now we're talking about tinting half a windshield, bud. It's a little different. Oh, I didn't realize that. And you kind of know a little bit ahead of time because then sometimes they'll do like 5% on all the sides and then they'll want a pretty low strip. But people that want like, let's say 35 or 20 on the front doors generally are pretty normal for what they want on a windshield. That was the biggest one I'd done. He wanted it just below the mirror mount. Nice. Yeah. Some vehicles just below the mirror mount. That shit's like all the way down there. What about the 2 windshield strips, top and bottom? Oh, I don't do that dumb shit. I've been asked about that maybe 2 times. So, nobody around here is really getting it. And I think I'm glad, because I think that is one of the dumbest things. Just do the whole windshield. You're creating like a glare spot right in the center of your windshield. So you're doing like 5 on top, 5 on the bottom, and then like nothing in between. So like your eyes don't even have much to adjust to. I understand like for certain types of day it might be helpful, and then late afternoon it might be helpful as well. But I just think the whole thing is dumb. It's like one of the few things that I'm just like, no, I'm just not going to do it. Like, and it's really not even, like, there's just, one, I think it's really, really dumb. And 2, like what, you charge for 2 windshield strips at that? But I think it's probably more annoying to do that. So like 1 windshield strip is fine. 2, like the one at the bottom, I think is just probably extra annoying to try and place right. I'd probably just, at that point then, feel like I need to charge for like a full windshield. So, I don't know. Just rather do a full windshield at that point. Just do a full windshield. I don't even want to do anything else. What's the most times in a row you messed up a window and started over? I'm not even sure. A bunch. On stream, it's probably been like 3 or 4 times. earlier on, yeah, there was definitely plenty of times I'd mess up windows. I mean, one that I really, honestly, there was one that I really remember like years and years ago on a Wrangler. I just couldn't, for whatever reason, it kept shifting, or I couldn't get it installed. Pulled it in, flat glass. Oh yeah, no problem. And then like 3 hours later, maybe I had like one of those windows tinted. It just wasn't happening. It was just it was like being newer and then also having a really bad day. I don't remember how long it took, but it just, I wasted so much film on that stupid door window. That's the one I remember. What are those number keys on the door for? Oh, these ones? Like, right here? That should be... I like that. That's, seat positions. So, you know, other people, like family, drive it. You can have 3 different memory positions for your power seats. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. That's, oh, it's plastic box. I was gonna say, like, I'm sure that's storage. I have no reason to go through it. I don't think I've seen it split like that. It looks interesting. Looks like they did something cool there. Oh, we're not asking about the outside ones, right? Or was it? Is it these ones? Oh, makes more sense that it's these ones. Yeah, it's the old school code to get into your truck in case you lock yourself out of it. I didn't notice it had it. Usually they build them in, so it was that like touch number pad, not like physical buttons on the outside. If you haven't used almost a whole roll of tint to tint a car, then you haven't lived. Yeah, we've all been there. Anybody that tints, I mean, you can, what's nice about it is like you can get to the point that you can make it look easy. That's what's so appealing about it. Like, it's not some big stress fest every day where you're just scrapping patterns, throwing film, and yelling and screaming and whatnot. It's like, you go through all the annoying parts of learning how to do it, and then, you know, like most jobs, it becomes second nature a lot of the time, and you can walk through a whole vehicle with little frustration, and then you stack vehicles, and then you can make a lot of money that way, and it's pretty peaceful way of living. But you still always have those days where you just want to pull your hair out and just stop. You know, that's a feature I've never had on a car. I've never had memory seats on it, and right now we're definitely at the point where it would be really helpful to have. That was something that they didn't have on our van. No memory seats on that one. Would have been, like, I figured that would be like a staple feature of like a minivan. At least you still have all your... Yeah, I got lucky there. But yeah, memory seats. Oh, you know what I haven't had? I haven't had heated steering wheels yet. Same, the Toyota did not have a heated steering wheel. There's like, I'm still like checking off car features, like a bucket list. So when I bought my Explorer, that was the first time I actually had real rims. That was like a big deal. It was a big deal for me. I'm like, oh, finally, I don't have hubcaps. Hell yeah. Were they fancy? No, but they were rims, damn it. The Blazer is when I first got a sunroof in a vehicle. My G5 is when I first had steering wheel music controls, like volume and skip tracks and stuff like that. So I'm trying to think of features, like more regular features. I mean, they get a little fancier and fancier as time goes on. But my brother would talk about, he still does. He's like, oh, but does it have a heated steering wheel? I'm like, shut up. No, it doesn't. He's like, you really need a heated steering wheel. I had an Explorer. He got the Explorer Sport. He got the heated steering wheel, and I just had a regular steering wheel. In the wintertime, yeah, you definitely want that heated steering wheel. They're nice. I pull lots of cars in that have all these features, so from time to time you definitely notice what you're missing out on. I think tinting and working on cars in general is kind of cool because you're always keeping an eye on interesting things that get put out there. So a lot of these features, like I just kind of like notice when they start to happen because it's like, oh, I haven't seen that before. So what actually super cool feature with this truck that I just haven't noticed, I'm guessing it's a pretty new feature. So I walked up to this truck and I almost thought I accidentally hit a button, but I got within probably about 5 feet of the truck and then the lights kicked on and it's like, oh wait, and I asked him and he's like, yep, it's got proximity mode. No shit. Ford does really well with their keys. I think Ford, out of most OEM keys that are within a reasonable range, Ford probably puts the most amount of effort into their key fobs that I've seen. Sometimes they're a little big, but as far as key fob range goes, they've been really, really good. My Explorer had a 2-way key fob. Seat massagers. Ooh, that's like a Cadillac thing. Maybe Mercedes too, but I remember noticing it most on Cadillacs. They sometimes vibrate when you're pulling the car out. But they would. They also had inbuilt seat massagers. I just wouldn't dig through settings sometimes to kick them on. But yeah, there were quite a few that would have seat massagers. Haven't had one with seat massagers. But yeah, the proximity thing was I think a really nice touch. You just walk up to it and then it already like starts kicking on. I think this has it. I'm gonna try this really quick. So we're pretty much done with it. We're done with all the doors. I'm just gonna shut them and see if it's got a 2-way. I betcha this has a 2-way. And then we'll do the Ford Connect allows you to completely control your vehicle from the phone. The fob is an optional carry. That's cool. It's been nice to see companies actually put a focus on like app control and stuff. Some have really good implementations, some have really garbage ones. So on this one, lock 2 times. So it's green. Oh, did you see that? Did you see that little green light there? Oops. Wait, no, it's 2 times and then it'll shut back off. That's cool. So, and then it'll give you a little shut off indicator too. I think that is one of the, especially here, that is one of the most helpful indicators if you're going to remote start your vehicles. The fact that it actually turned on. So your car's either outside in a driveway, in a garage, out on a street. It's a little ways away from you. Just grab the key fob really quick, lock, remote start button, kicks on, and then it lets you know that it did it. And then if it didn't do it, it would give you like a red light indicator, or like flash a couple times. God, that's so cool. Like, it's so helpful. I haven't really noticed that on other key fobs. I haven't looked for it in a little while, but yeah, Ford key fobs are pretty awesome. I can stop, start, turn on the radio, off, heat, cool, control the window. Oh, wow, that's a lot. On my Sienna van, I could tell it to remote start, but only if all the doors were locked. So you click the remote start button, and it's like, oh, sorry, it's unlocked. So then you gotta click the lock button, and then you gotta wait like 10 seconds for it to actually lock. And then after the app then recognizes that the vehicle is locked, then it will remote start for 10 minutes, and then it'll automatically shut off. God, it's so frustrating. It'll shut off, but if you go up to the car to open the door, it'll shut it off again. With a lot of these cars, you can just unlock them and still have it remote started. Has Toyota started charging you for remote start? No. No, thankfully. But I'd imagine it's coming, but God, their systems are so borderline. Like, it's functional enough, but also kind of garbage. I just got really used to Ford, GM, even Chrysler. Like, they all have like really intuitive, what I would think is like pretty practical systems. So like there were some features that were really, really smart, and some of the ways they make you use the features are just really, really inconvenient, so then you don't use them. But I guess it's just, hey, you know, that seems cool, and then when you actually use it in real life, it proves to be less practical, but it was a good way to sell the vehicle to you. Oh yeah, our vehicle has it, but you'll never use it, really. There's a lock icon on the door handles as you get within 3 feet. Touch the lock on the door handle and we'll either lock, unlock that individual door. Touch it twice, it'll unlock the vehicle. Oh, that's cool. Also, so they do this on quite a few vehicles now too, but I first saw it on the Explorer. Oh yeah, there's the lock icon there. So on these ones too, like quite a few, just like the touch to unlock. So when you're grabbing the handle, then it unlocks. It's just smart. It's just smart design. You know, my Blazer has a button that you push on the door handle to lock and unlock the vehicle. But if it is cold outside and like rained and iced over a little bit, there's been lots of times I've pushed that and it doesn't work. It's too cold. But what has always worked is that touch. Kind of interesting. All right, so let's get some patterns here. So tint 22. Why can't I see it? There we go. Da, da, da. Crew. Does the plotter program? Oh, this has windshield strip cutouts. That's interesting. Those actually might work out. I'm not going to use them today. I don't know if it needs an internet connection. I can't try it now, though, because if I take it off, then that's it. I think so, but I'm not sure. I don't know if it stores patterns locally. I got a 2018 Explorer Sport. Had a camera option that was in the grill. Could be face forward, so you could see everything immediately. That's nice. I like that. We have, yeah, I've got 360 cameras on my Blazer. That's been, once you have, it's, oh man, once you have some of those features, you don't want to get rid of them. So on the van, we only had a rear backup camera, and it looked like it was made in the early 2000s. For being a 22 van, it looks like all Toyota backup cameras that I've seen look like absolute dog shit. They're so bad. The everybody else, see, shut the friggin' window. Everybody else's backup cameras nowadays have been really good. But having a front camera so you can definitely like see, especially if you got a bigger vehicle, that front end, how close are you to a wall? Yeah, that's really helpful. I like that. All right, so let's push this button. Do you think I can sit this far back? It should be fine. The Explorer Sport was awesome. It had, the Sport had the same motor that I don't know much about motors in most vehicles, but since I had an Explorer, the Sport had the show motor in it. So you're like twin turbo beast of a vehicle. That thing was crazy. So it's like Sport. I don't know. That thing was cool. Oh, why is that full screen now? A lot of extra space too. It's a great Tint mobile. And then this one. There we go. I'd rather have a new reliable vehicle with basic tech so I could put my own aftermarket in it, which I think is a lot better. I don't think it's much better anymore, though. Personally. You can definitely have some better things. Like, you can put better speakers in it still, better sound systems. But where they drop off now is, like, the aftermarket radio systems. Ugh. They're not as powerful as your phone. And then you can just plug in your phone to most factory car systems, and the factory systems are built into your dash in a way where they're also really unfriendly to replace. So it's not the same as like a doubled in system anymore. There's so much more to them now, so they're expensive. They're just kind of shoddy. I don't know. I don't see it as much anymore. Easy to install stereos in new cars. Is it though? Also, why? Okay, let's take this right here. Would I ever replace it? I don't even see why you would want to replace it. And there's so many systems that are tied into it too. And like, that's kind of my point. That's what we're seeing a lot more. So unless you go like super basic, people get like a reasonable amount of features, and then it makes the systems annoying enough to replace and expensive, and I just don't want to fucking deal with it. Don't get me wrong, like I know that's definitely like a little bit, or that's a higher factory system, but it's kind of like my point. Like so many of them are like so many things that are just kind of built into the moldings and stuff in a way that it's like they used to go off of like a doubled-in system. I'm an installer. Ooh, super chat. Thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely not in it. I just know what I see roll in here a lot, and I've worked around stereo shops, so like, still surprised to hear somebody say they're easy to install. So that's good. I see so many cars in here that don't seem worth replacing.
DC Customs and Detailing super chatted $5. Hi Master. Quick question, do you have your plotter set up to cut on pull only? If yes, how can I do it to mines?
DC Customs, thank you. Yes, I do have it set to pull only. That is a software setting. Yeah, my dad's shop's done stereos. They probably still do that kind of stuff. I actually haven't asked in a little while. But I saw that whole business declining, and then I worked at Cartoons, which is the biggest Michigan stereo / remote starter company. So like I've been around it, but you know I'm not the one that's doing it, and that's very different. But I've kind of seen some market trends, and you know, when things were slow, they had all the radios on display, and so you could kind of compare, like, oh, this is the top of the line Pioneer. What was it, like a Next system at the time? I don't know what people are doing right now, but like this was a handful of years ago now, and it was just like, oh, this is kind of like it's okay. So, like, even the draw of getting one of those systems put in your car, like when you just go and play around with the radio and stuff, it's like, it's just not. You just plug your phone in because your phone's better. But the thing I hate about plugging a phone in is that you can't play a YouTube video on the screen. So, like, that would be the biggest incentive to get an aftermarket system. I want to play a DVD on it. But I think there's other workarounds for stuff like that. Depends on the vehicle. There's just billions of dollars worth of world advancements going into phones, and not quite as much going into stereos, so they fall behind. You're right, it's taking a big decline because it's not user friendly like it used to be. You have to know what you're doing. Yeah, they're pretty intense, so. It's interesting to still hear about. I have DigiCut, looks exactly like the software that you're using. Oh, yeah, I can show you. Yep. All right, so if you want to set it to cut on pull, let me make sure. Yep, okay. So you go to somewhere up here, edit options, and then they added this handy options menu. So make sure your software is up to date, and then plotter, and then it'll give you pull mode cutting. So just this little checkbox right here. Then it's also got post feed length too, which I don't know why I have to, I guess, recalibrate it or something, but it should spit out extra film afterwards. Okay. Oh, I don't even know what I'm getting to now. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'll look at it later. I don't want to screw it up. In 2006, I had a flip-out TV screen with a flip switch to bypass safety features so I could watch movies and driving down the road. Those were like the coolest things. I think they still are cool. But yeah, they definitely lost their appeal now. But yeah, you'd see like a single DIN radio, and you start the car, and then your screen goes zzz, zzz. That's when they were like super cool. A lot more popular then. But now, unfortunately, just, you know, you see it with everything car. Anything that's worth any type of money for cars, they're going to find a way to bring it in-house and offer as an upgrade. And then, you know, that's how it's always been. So window tint, we have a little bit of an advantage here because they're just not allowed to do windshields, front doors, and then nothing on sedans for the rear doors or the back glass. So I know when this change happened, it must have freaked a lot of people out because people were doing full SUVs, and now on SUVs the rear is tinted and now you only have the front doors. But with window tint as well, we have stuff like carbon and ceramic. So like there's still things to kind of hedge against all that for the foreseeable future. Hopefully it'll stay that way. But you know, markets are always changing. I think what would probably freak me out the most in the tinting space would probably be cars moving to a like full subscription model. But you still see people with leases. I mean, in the far, far distant future, if you can go to your phone and like request an electric car be dropped off, or like an automatic car just literally like pull up to your house, and then you can drive that wherever you want, and then when you're done with it you just click another button and say you're done, you know, like the scooters, right? Then you don't really have ownership of it and you don't really care about it, and just whatever shows up at your doorstep is you know, whatever you paid for. That's in the far distant future. But that I could see killing window tint. Yeah, like when you get into full self-driving cars, they're just going to be preloaded with a bunch of cool options. You're not going to have to worry about driving them. You're probably not going to be able to drive them. And then if nobody's driving them and they're just driving themselves, then they could be completely ceramic glassed and whatever. It's called Uber. Yeah, on some level. It's just Uber's really expensive. As soon as they figure out how to not pay the people, then it'll get cheaper. Uber I don't think is practical for most people versus still owning a car. It's still somewhat inconvenient and adds up to being expensive, so then you might as well just have one at your house. So if you can do something similar to that with a car, then you're a little better. But it's a step in that direction, yeah. Does your film come in 90%? Unfortunately, no. The highest it goes is 70. So do cars come with IR from factory, but it doesn't provide VLT? Some do and some don't. But it's pretty limited on what windows that it does. So I can see this basically crossing over into the high-end market, and especially with like EVs and stuff. So we've already seen it with like for years with like Mercedes and stuff. Mercedes have long time in some of their vehicles. Generally when you go into like the upper tiers, like towards an S class and maybe like an E class, you'll see like an iridescence on the back window, and the sides will look a little mirrored. Like companies have been doing this for a long time, but it's slowly getting better. So on some of these EVs, especially with huge pieces of glass, some of them are putting IR coatings into that glass because you have no other way to cover it up other than literally going to an aftermarket tint shop and getting it covered. It's an issue they need to really do. But like we saw with the Model Y the other day, it was on the roof, and then nothing was on the windshield or the sides. So I don't... The Toyota thing's interesting. The Toyota thing kind of freaks me out a little bit, but I think it's a little hiccup. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Because, like, Toyota then did a coating, and I don't think it's smart to put it on the surface of the glass, on the inside especially, or the outside. Because there's really no way to, like, recoat the glass without maybe just ordering a new piece of glass or something. So, like, for a factory choice, it's to me, it's kind of weird, but we'll see where it goes. But, like, the Mustang Mach-E, they had the windshield with a nice IR coating in it. And I think the sunroof might have had it too, but definitely nothing on the sides or the back. I think doing it on all windows just isn't going to make sense for most vehicles because it adds cost to the cars. And however they can provide enough features for you to go, ooh, but also save some money in other areas where you're just not paying attention as much until costs significantly come down. And the thing is, too, it also gets incredibly expensive to then replace the glass, too. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting where some things are going. I don't think I expected any type of glass changes when all the EV stuff started, but you can clearly see if it's an EV, they want to, like, their staple change for EVs versus regular cars is like, let's just make it an all glass opening, eco-friendly world. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what their thinking is behind it. It's cool, but it's kind of ridiculous too. It's a lot of glass, but hey, that helps us out. We have a 22 Venza. I tinted those front UVU windows, so that's what they're called, UVU. Just use a white scrubby and squeegee, no problem installing, but if anything needs to be changed or replaced, it'll be interesting. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. But I was paying, but if a paying customer was tinting those windows, would be at their own risk if something happens. Yeah, unless you have a good way of removing it without the glass, without having to scrape the glass. So, like, there's really no good way to remove it. So these are the nice Ford mirrors where they put the little screw on the bottom. And then on the Explorers, it bumped up into the housing, but on the Fords, there's enough clearance here to then just get this out of the way. I like these much better. But I've done a few Explorers now, so those housings come out pretty easily. Lucid and Tesla have huge glass panels. Yeah, I've seen some videos of them. I'll just say I'm not looking forward to a day that I have to tint one for the first time, but I'm glad that I'm not usually the first person to run into that stuff. I really like to watch. I watch how other people handle situations and whatnot when I'm really unsure, and then I just kind of go from there. But that model, or that Lucid Air, is going to looked really similar to like the Model X windshield. It's just big. It's big. It's annoying. Probably helps to have two people do that instead of one. My coworker is asking if I can tint his Barracuda. Barracuda. It's a classic car. What year? I mean, you can definitely try to. Like, I always think it's good for people to try stuff like that if you've been tinting for any amount of time. Some people enjoy doing cars like that, but they are more difficult. So just charge your buddy accordingly or take it as a learning experience. It's a good way to get your feet wet with classic cars. I'm not a super big fan of doing them, but for the right price, I'll still do them. I love doing my friends' cars for free for practice. Yeah, I can see that. I only had a few people. And then, like, you know, Nick, he was helping out with the phones. So, made sense. And it's nice that I can do a video about it. For another friend, he was asking for a couple doors. No big deal. It's nice, though, because my dad's shop can then handle all the actual family cars. And those are good. All right. So we're going to have to line this whole windshield. Take off that little sticker there. Saw Lucid Air for the first time on my way up to Detroit. It was very odd. Not sure what they were. Wasn't sure what it was when we first saw it. Yeah. Chicago Auto Pros did a really nice walkthrough, and kind of showed some of the areas, like focused on the glass a little bit, and took a look at the paint. The windows are kind of set up to be panoramic, or sorry, like Panamera side windows. So if anybody's ever tinted a Porsche Panamera, they got really similar side windows. They kind of I'll show you. I'll pull up the video and I'll have to show you. They're a little annoying to explain. There's like ceramic borders on the sides, and then the hardware for it to fit into the channels are on the side of the windows. And then you have to kind of tuck the film into like side gaskets along with the bottom gasket, but like in a little bit of a different way. I made my friends bring coffee though. I was like, bring me a coffee. And I'll hook you up. You know, that's actually like a super nice thing, because running in the morning and like stopping and waiting in line and getting a coffee, like I'm usually not that ahead of time to where I can do that. So it's like, it's something I wouldn't be able to get in the morning. And then, you know, they just bring it in and, aw. So if anybody watching here ever go to take your cars to get something done at a shop, you want like really good service, bring like donuts for everybody. Or I saw this other really cool thing. There's somebody that actually left an envelope with a written note for the window tinter, and like he left a tip in the envelope, like this is for the installer. You do something like that, dude, you just made their day. Because they see cars, they don't talk to the customers, and it just shows like, oh, hey, this guy's really nice, and they care. This is cool. They'll do a good job. At least I would hope they would. No, that's the other thing. Don't expect a discount if the donuts are brought. It's an above and beyond thing. And then it brings good karma along with your car. Oh, it's right. Oh, this baggie's right here. Where did I put the other one? I know I put it somewhere. Where's my blue one? I keep misplacing this thing. I'll just use this one. It's somewhere around here. I've misplaced too many things lately. Do I get a discount if I brought donuts? No, because then it's transactional. Now a shop will be like, thanks, but we could have paid the $10 for the donuts then. Oh, wait. You know what I mean? Just do it. Just be nice. Bring them Taco Bell. So what makes this a Tremor versus a Raptor? I don't exactly know. It was a cool addition that was pointed out to me before I went live with it. So I didn't know if anybody was like specifically looking for the Tremor edition. It's cool. God, I'm always gonna almost spray this windshield. There, we do that, and then it's done. Our Max Pro Charcoal Plus without metal, ain't it good? It's $200 for a roll. I don't know. I haven't used it. Max Pro is similar enough to me as Scorpion. They're kind of been in the same type of range from what I've heard. So you can definitely save some money. Actually, you know what? $200 a roll. You're right in line with like GeoShield Pro Classic and Helios. So like, I don't know if it's good, but like you're right in line as far as pricing goes. Get it, try it out, and see how it is. And I mean, there's this stuff too, so. I see the blue bag. Where's the blue bag? Is it sitting there? Am I blind? I don't know. Anybody seen the Tremors movies? No, but I've seen the box cover, I think. I know they're movies. Not the same thing. You know, we pulled this thing in, and then there was a wicked storm that blew through here. So I attribute that to the type of truck it is. All right, so we did 20 on the front doors, 35 on the back over the privacy rear. So the back is about a 10%. And then we're doing a 70% over the windshield. Block out lots of heat. We don't have GeoShield here, that's why. What? Where are you? You're not in the US and you're still getting Max Pro? That's interesting. And oh wait, I read that. When's the shop giveaway? The Netherlands? Really? I didn't know that. Yep, I can definitely say they're not there. Huh. I didn't realize that they were international now. Good for them. Although GeoShield has some like GeoShield outfitted dealers, I think in Dubai. So like, it's not that they're not international on some level too. They're just, I don't know what type of scale that they're at. So I don't know how far reaching that is. You can't buy Geo in the Netherlands. No choices on their site. Yeah, international is unfortunately always tricky. It's annoying, because I hear ya. I've said this a few times, but I should finally set up a little wall with a bunch of like IR type bulbs, and then put swatches of film, and then see which ones last and which ones fade. But I have to be pretty selective about it. We're going to be hitting 102 here in Texas next Friday. Damn, that's hot. If you had to choose between SunTech ceramic and Solar Guard ceramic, which one would you choose? Ugh. Damn, that's a hard question. I don't know. I'd have to try both of them out. I don't have a good answer for you. I'd try both of them out and just see which company I like better, but you're kind of at a coin flip there. I got my film from Geo yesterday. Nice, very cool. What was the green squeegee you were using in the last Tesla stream? Like this one? Oops. Do you like Pana or Nano? No. What's your availability like? I'll be getting a new car in 2 months, and I'm 15 minutes from you. Oh, well, we can definitely set you up. I'm not booked out quite that far. I'm like a solid week and a half. Actually, I'm like a solid week right now. Because then I'm going on vacation, so then it's like a couple weeks. But generally, things have been booking up about a week to like a week and a half at the most. But that's like a trailing thing right now. It like books up, and then phone calls slow down, and then I get nearer to that, and then they book up again. It was like the hybrid type, but green. Hybrid type, but green. Like a handled squeegee? Or was it this one? This thing? Couldn't be more happy with the work Matt did on our Explorer. Aw, I appreciate that. Okay, I can't actually talk about that one yet. It's not mine. It's another company's. They're in the process. So most of the cars that I tint, like I wanted to give it a good try, but they're not done with it yet. They're still making changes and stuff, so I can't say too much. It was mostly like a mold. And you're staying in the continental United States for vacation. Continental. You guys see that Key and Peele skit of the continental breakfast? Continental, you say? Because this sounds so fancy. Yeah, we're going down to Florida for a little while. You know, while it's cold. Definitely not hot down there right now, right? Yeah, perfect timing. Jeez. Yes, love Key and Peele. I haven't seen, every once in a while I'll binge watch a handful of skits from them. That one was so funny. Continental. So we're this winter, December, we're going back to the Philippines, but until then, we're gonna shoot down to Florida for a break, and then I don't know. Burns is asking me. Burns is asking me if I'm going to the IWFA competition. And like I think we can go. But I don't know. I'm a little on the fence. Like, part of it sounds fun, and the other part of it is like, it's just a lot. It's a lot to travel with the baby. He's a handful. All right, let's finish this up. We still gotta prep the inside of this. Gonna go back to the other side. I think I'm gonna have to figure out how to hand cut film down inside, because even though it's cool out right now, there's a little too much wind. Ooh, yeah. If you're tinning outside, it's really, really tough. You're not gonna be able to cut out. No, it's not gonna work either. You gotta get it inside a garage or something. Do you use only charcoal films without metal in it, or only ceramic films? No, I use both, just not metallized films. Go rep GeoShield at the IWFA and win. Yeah, there's no pressure there. I did really good at the last one, except for the one problem. It was a cruise window, which you might think like, oh, that's simple. But there was a roll down window and a quarter window. And they both went really nice, except I was using NR Pro. And it was cooler in the event. So I had over-prepared on soap. I added too much soap. And I forgot NR Pro slid. So I just had a hell of a time trying to get that film to lock in place. So when I rolled up the window, it caused it to shift down a little bit, and I didn't notice it until I went to strip the window off. But I got everything done in a pretty efficient time, except that one problem, which then is a big problem. But it was nice because with the Indiana event in I think that was 2019 or something, we could just drive over with all my stuff. The one down in San Antonio, I got to bring stuff. Or maybe I can tell Geo what to bring and they can bring it. Because if I got to bring a bunch of stuff, and then I also we got to pack up a bunch of stuff for Luke, then it gets tough. He's a little bit more mobile now, though, so he can kind of walk and hold his hand. He doesn't like to a lot, but he'll do it. You have like 40,000 people believing in you, if that helps. Aw, I appreciate that. No, it just adds more pressure. If you have magnetic wrap holders, it might help, or just a magnet. Oh, for wind? Kind of. The problem with magnetic holders is you have to put them right on the edges of the film. I saw somebody do it just on the glass, and then the film whips here and is bending, and then it's just putting a bunch of bends in there. Oh, but yeah, I know we're skipping around topics a lot. Tinting outside is, if you've never tinted before and you go to tint outside, you're going to have a hell of a time. But you have to cut on the outside of the glass because look at the outside framing compared to the inside. You're just trying to cram a bunch of film right towards the edge. It's just not going to work. You're going to have a really hacked up job. Hey, Uncle Matt, I found dryer sheets at Albert and a place to tint. Nice. Uncle Matt. Why am I Uncle Matt now? Yeah, the Wagner heat gun's great. I think I meant to go buy a Wagner heat gun. Mm-hmm. Look. I think I may need to go buy a Wagner heat gun because the Seek one doesn't seem to get hot enough. I was going super slow shrinking the windshield. Depends on the film, but yeah. Yeah, there's a reason why I use what I use. And there's lots of little things where I've never tried that heat gun. It might be perfectly fine. I wouldn't know unless I actually tried it, and there's just too many options out there for me to try. So if I had never tinted before, and I was looking to try and get as good of a result as I could without knowing anything, I would just try and mirror exactly what's going on. I would try and mirror as much on here as I possibly could because I've never done it before. So any changes is gonna just, in my opinion, give you some type of a disadvantage unless you're just going for a completely different style, like pulling the seals and then bottom loading. That's probably one of the easiest changes that you could probably make. It's just not the way that I do things here. So it's a completely different style. You can learn from people that know how to do that. But that's why with the classes that I taught here, I didn't want there to be 50 different types of tools that everybody kind of has to fiddle with. It's like, no. I want everybody here to be on the exact same page with what we're using. And then when you leave, I don't then want you to feel like, I just spent a bunch of money to travel and be here, and now I can't afford tools. So that's why I outfit everybody with the tools as well. So when you leave here, it's at least as good of a chance as I can give you to help you continue to succeed past being here in a class. But with with a lot of people that have come here so far, it's been interesting because like this is the first time that many of them have actually seen some of these in person, and as soon as they touch one of them, they're like, "Oh, this squeegee's nice." It's like, yeah, I like it. That's why I use it. Makes my life easier. The right tools won't make you an amazing tinter, but they'll at least help out. Ah, shit, you got me there. Did you did your students get to take home a Wagner heat gun or no? No, I actually didn't hand out heat guns. Heat guns were a little bit of personal preference too. So not everybody liked the Wagners. In the last class, I think most people liked the Wagners. But these ones, in my opinion, are like a close second, the Craftsman or Porter cable. So you can go to Lowe's, Home Depot, hardware stores. You can find either this one, or the Wagners in the paint section. Like they're all readily available. That was a close second. But I supplied everything else. I supplied way too much. Dash towels, soak shields. The only things out of it was a heat gun. Blowtorch. Yeah, so, okay, let's take a look at the inside of here. The edges are really good, so I can see room. Ooh, this pushes down. Watch this. See this? See how that flexes a little bit there? That's helpful. That'll help me get the bottom. The Wagoner. Oh, I love it. You always, like, this has been the third time. It's really funny. I'm going to type it out from you. Wagner heat gun. Oh, it's just been really funny because, like, I said tri-edge, but you heard triad. And then I remember there was another one in there. It's just been a funny trend. So Wagner. They're like 25 to like $30 now, depending on where you are. They used to be 20, but inflation has unfortunately hit damn near everything. One more class coming up. Do you think you'll offer more classes? Yeah, so the way that I like to do it right now is just kind of focus on like the next month or two. The only thing we're not too wait, was it? Then, so we just finished with the May one. So I can probably then go ahead with an August. Are we already there? Yeah, so it's probably laziness on my part. I think I gotta open up the August one then. Set dates for that. This isn't holding. Oh wait, no it is. Oh, it is down there. I didn't think it was so far down there. Cool, that's helpful. Is it the same or much different shrinking with a blowtorch? Oh, with the torch, it's shrinking on steroids. So you've got a lot of heat coming off that end, and things move a lot faster. It's kind of interesting using a torch. But you really shouldn't use a torch the exact same way that you use a heat gun. There's a little bit of a difference there. There's going to be a lot of similarities, but they're not quite the same. You definitely, like, it's just a lot more intense, too, off of a torch, so you got to adjust for it. Wouldn't you agree I need to go with a different heat gun if it's taking forever? Probably, yeah. Canon. Oh, do I not have that on? Really? All right. I'm gonna swap out a battery here quick. I don't know. I'm down to 1 dot left. Look, it actually tells me how much is left. Sweet. So we're gonna unplug this one. Pop this off. Yeah, there's just lots of like cheap heat guns out there, just like there's lots of cheap films out there. Some of them are going to be more okay than others. That is just one that is absolutely a favorite of people, or else it wouldn't be as popular as it is. Like, so many people use those, and they use the Craftsman ones. So people have tried a ton of different heat guns. That's what most people like to use. So it's for a reason. The new batteries last longer? A little bit, yeah. So instead of these having one battery for the GoPro and then one battery for this guy, the transmitter, I found a battery that can power both of them up. It's a 10,000 milliamp hour battery, so it gets about 3 hours out of it before I have to change it. So, and it doesn't really hardly add any extra bulk. Like it gets rid of the bulk off the back, but oh yeah, then I gotta remember to do this. Beep, beep, beep. I thought I would need to dial down the heat because of my inexperience. I always tell people you can control the heat. Oh, that's interesting. It went straight to that. How did that happen? That's cool. Huh. All right. Usually I have to go through a couple sub-menus. Anyways. All right. Let's get back to it. Yes, you control the heat with distance. So what I saw people do most often that would ruin their window tint when they're shrinking was they would take a heat gun and they would just get too close with it and they'd focus in one spot for too long. And then the higher you go, like, I think they're judging time. So when you turn a heat gun on, it heats up, and then the beginning one, thank you very much.
Swallogang super chatted $4.99. Fifth day the
I'll
shop
talk about that in a
already
sec.
have me installing moving fast thanks to all I learned from you.
Hey, that's awesome. Swole Gang with the 5. Thank you. 5th day at the shop already had me installing moving fast thanks to you, and I learned from you. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Glad to hear that it's going well. That's awesome. You can progress really fast at a shop too, especially when you care. But yeah, you already started out learning and stuff, and then you found an in at a shop, and that's super cool. Thank you so much. Glad it's going so well. No, not there. On the floor. Okay. So what I was trying to say with heating a windshield, where a lot of people will let me do one more thing on this. I'm gonna tape up in the headliner just to keep that headliner clean. We'll do this thing. Yes, keep the heat gun pointed at an angle, at like a 45-degree angle, and watch the film. I saw too many people kind of judge, I think, based by time. So they'd watch the film in the beginning, and then as things were going reasonably fast, then when they got farther down on the window, they would feel like they're heating up the film enough but they weren't actually sure what they were looking at. So then they'd heat up the film some, press it down, and wonder why it creased. You gotta watch it shrink. And when you're sure that it's shrunk, then you can press it down. But they were worried about overheating the film. So when you have a nice smooth shrinking film, when you put that additional heat on it, it's gonna lay down pretty efficiently. With a poorly shrinking film, you're gonna put additional heat on it, it's gonna go really, really slow. And then you focus too much in one spot and then you ruin the whole thing. Okay, so this. I think I should do this with my reverse rolls, mainly on this section of it. That section, the film is already basically pulled out at that spot. This section, it's all rolled up. So I'm gonna do this. Ah. Oh, that's cool. I have to say I already done 1,000 times better from watching you 7 years ago when I tried on my door windows. It was a total fail. It was a total fail. Done a good job when I practiced with Gila. Nice. That's good. That guy right there, Sergio. My biggest issue starting to shrink was that I wouldn't heat it enough, then it would crease trying to lay it down. And that especially happens the farther out you go. So things move very, very quickly here, and then the farther you get that heat, it's gonna progressively go a little bit slower because more film is then bunching up together, and so you need more heat to then shrink that extra film. But again, if you have a poorly or difficult film to shrink, it usually just means it's gonna go a lot slower. And you're just not prepared to kind of make that change as you go. So then you end up just pushing it down and creasing it, and you do that over and over and over, and then you're not sure what the hell is going on. You feel like you're putting enough heat, but you gotta watch what it does. There truly is a fine line between not heating enough and heating it too much. It's where, I suggest that anybody watch a lot of my recent shrinking videos. You're always watching for the film to start to pull sideways. And when it does that, then you can smooth it out. And you smooth it out like a wave. A wave goes flat that way, right? So you'll notice the shrinking lines will be pointed this way, and then they'll start to shrink, and those lines will start pointing this way. And then once they're this way, then you push them out in that same direction. So if you have a curve, a tension spot that kind of like goes in a little bit of a curve, especially near the edges, you push that in this direction until you get to that bunched up material, and then that wave will disappear, and then you'll just be left with a bunched up material, and where that bunch is, that's where you start shrinking more. Once it goes sideways, I know not to shrink anymore. That's exactly right. It's about pushing it down. So another thing is people would be relatively timid about smoothing out the film. So if there's a lot of tension there, it's going to be harder to smooth out the film. Like, you just have to put some more pressure. So people would kind of like, they'd be worried about creasing it. So they kind of like gently tap it and baby it and whatnot. No, you just got to put a little bit more pressure and be very direct about just carting it up to the next place where the bunches are, and then shrink those bunches until they start to lay flat again, and then smooth that out again. And it's just that, rinse and repeat. these classes have actually been super helpful to me in being able to see exactly where the most amount of people are having problems. Another thing has been allowing the film to lift off of the sides and continue to shrink it. Anytime your film lifts from the sides, push it back down to the glass, because your film is not going to shrink on the sides. It's going to distort. It's going to do all sorts of funky things. But it's been cool. I know... Oh, hey, here's a hybrid Squeegee. So I'm pretty sure we found it at some point, because I've got two, but then I did buy one, and I think I set one of them up. I don't know. I don't know how many I have and how many I don't. So just keep those things in mind. Watch the videos. I try and explain it as well as I can there, but now after seeing a handful of people in person and really studying like what is going on, makes it a lot clearer for me to then try and explain to you guys exactly what the issues are. Okay, squeeze this out one more time. When I stopped doing an H pattern and just tacked the center line, I had great advancement. Ooh, there's like a thing here and here. Ooh, hang on. Glad I saw that. That would have been really annoying on the inside. So the H pattern will help people out, but this is where I gotta show another demo. Hello, Tint Studio, how can I help you? We close by 5, but we're all booked up for today. Mm-hmm. All right, no problem. Yeah, we're like literally going back into all the ins and outs of shrinking. So you can take some of these things and make your own adjustments. So when I say H pattern and then you tack it down the sides, you're gonna adjust your sides from time to time. But what I would see far more in person was if people didn't tack down the sides, fingers were jutting out from the sides, and then it would screw up the whole rest of the window. So some people need to do it until they understand what they're looking for, but as long as you're really careful about like not physically shrinking fingers on the side, then you don't have to tack down the sides. It's just a great way to organize your film. And then as you continue to shrink that window, you're gonna pick up that side edge and readjust it as you go. It's gonna make some changes throughout. It's hard to explain exactly like why it's happening, when it's happening, but just you'll set up an H pattern, you have a big finger that juts out all the way to the top, start shrinking that window, and then readjust your side a little bit, and then that big finger at the top will then get smaller. So also with there's a few things that are definitely open to interpretation. So don't be afraid to still ask, but yeah, there are definitely reasons why I do everything this way. Once you have that aha moment, of what's actually happening, then it's fun. Yep. Mm-hmm. And that's a good way of explaining it. I said this a few times. You need that win. So when you start on something less curved and you use a film that's pretty shrinking friendly, some of these things then give you that win, and you start understanding, like, oh, hey, I shrunk this window and it went much better. I was trying to do this, excuse me, I was trying to do this difficult one all this time, and I wasn't having any luck. But start out with something a little bit easier if you can. Learn how to do that, and then move to something more difficult. Squeegeeing the bottom of the inside is really hard with the big hand, and they make some different tools for that. God, this is literally like you guys came to the class. Like so many things identical to what get this, Stroke Doctor. I'll show you on this one. I don't use it all the time, but it was my back window squeegee of choice for a while. I like the side swipe a little bit better, but there are some guys at the class, they immediately bought those. They like those better. It's called the Stroke Doctor. Great tool name. I bought one from Sun Distributing. Good. It'll help out a bunch, and those are good people. Yeah, so this guy is similar enough to this guy, but it gives you more of a handle. The only thing I don't like about the Stroke Doctor is I wish the blade flexed a little bit more. It's a little bit shorter, but it lets you put more pressure, and it's a lot more ergonomic for people to use. I started with that, and I thought, why would I use anything else? And then I tried the side swipe, and there's situations where the side swipe, in my opinion, is a better suited for situations, but mostly when the glass is pretty curved. Because that blade flexes really well. So between that, the bulldozer, and the tail fin, I do 99, like I do basically every back window with those tools. You hardly ever see me use anything else, but that Stroke Doctor is a really, really good alternative. But this was like, oh God, just the little moments like that, I geek out a lot at the class. Because when I see somebody struggling in a certain situation, it's like I can help you adjust. And sometimes, like there's just a handful of times that it's like, okay, all right, hang on, let me go grab something. I think I got a better tool for the issue that you're having there. But most of the stuff is on point with, that I already provide is on point with exactly what you need. But there are those little differences, but it entirely depends on the person. Is the pink Chiseler mandatory? No. You actually never see me use a Chiseler. I think the Gator Blade's a better little Chiseler. It's more functional, and I like the edges better. You can get in more spots for touch-ups and stuff, but I mean, that being said, keeping a chiseler around costs you like $1. So it's worth having, but I've used one absolutely like 0 times when I've had the gator blades. So like gator blades, you've got the front edge, but if you flip it around to the back side, that's where it's a better touch-up tool. And I think the edge is slightly more rounded than the chiseler. So in my opinion, it's been like, it's sharp, but it's also slightly rounded or smoother at the edge. I don't know. I think it's a great tool for touch-ups, but it's for really hard touch-ups. Tri-edge. My touch-up is usually like tri-edge, or then if I have to press really hard, then I'll go straight to a gator blade. But again, it's a little bit of personal preference and situational, so. That's why there's so many extra tools out there. There's a lot of times that you can tint the vast majority of cars without all these extra things. There's just some situations where those tools are completely invaluable. So I've got the gator blades, or I've got the little chiselers on my site. The gator blades, like, there's some tools that I use that's definitely different from my site, but it's like if you need a touch-up card, they were cheap for me to get. The gator blades, I think, are through Pro Tools. So I just didn't have a good source for getting some of those things, so that's why I have like some of the tools that I have differently. But if you go to like all the extra tools, this is why I like Sun Distributing and Tint Depot. They are tool suppliers. I'm not a full-blown tool supplier. I'm like, that's my merch store / good things that I would endorse and are good enough for getting the job done. But for like the Fusion Squeegees, all the other tri-edges, and quite a few other products like dash towels, it's like, it's just, it becomes too much. I like to get things out quickly, but sometimes I fall behind, so they are like, I need these tools and I need them now. They're gonna make that happen. Same thing with film. I am not a film distributor. GeoShield will make it happen, and they will make it happen now. I might eventually grow into one, but right now I have no plans on doing that. I do things to also help support spending more time and streaming and video. So it's kind of unique for the tinting industry, but that's my honest take on it. That's how I feel with like being a film company. So if I were to like grow in that direction, I gotta scale people. Like, I need to hire people, and then I need to I just talked to Rick. He's got people that help fulfill orders and stuff like that, and then he's got so many SKUs, so like, you know, he's always got to double and triple check stuff, and then with like when I put in my order for the bulldozers and all the other tools, like, he's like, oh shit, I didn't realize this, but we actually just didn't have enough bulldozers for the order, so we're gonna rush ship you the bulldozers. I still hear how much of a chore it is to like be any type of dedicated business like that. So it's definitely like a full-time thing. So what I don't want to do is be a half-ass tool distributor. Or a half-ass film distributor. I'm like, where I put all my efforts are really with, like, most of it's with the shop and the channel. So maybe someday that'll change, but it took a long time for me to even get to this point, so I'm just enjoying it for right now. It's pretty awesome. I just don't want to bite off more than I can chew at a time. All right. Okay. So, this is the stroke doctor. This is the side swipe. So, I like the side swipe, like I said, because this blade has a little bit more flex in it. So you can push this, and if this was slimmer on the sides or something, like, or the blade was longer, I would appreciate both those things, but I think probably the blade would, or the handle would crack. But the blade actually could be longer this way, and I would really like it. This gives you a better handle, where this, you're kind of pushing up on the windshield, and you really got to push with your thumb here and try and slim your hand down and sneak it in here. So for what it does with the curve, it's really handy for like sneaking in some of these areas and squeegeeing some more water out because it bends to that contour. With this, it's just got a shorter blade that sticks out, so the part that goes on the glass just doesn't quite curve as much, but it gives you a bigger handle, and it's got some flex to the blade by itself. So for a lot of situations, it's really, really good. And then you can put more on that handle and it'll stick down, and then just kind of run it across the side, where this is what this would look like. So my hand's a little bit more pressed up on the glass. I have to push down farther on the glass. This allows you to kind of back up and get into a tighter area without having to try and like shove your hand down there. So for most windows, this is still an amazing tool. I noticed when it came to more rounded windows, I just appreciated the side swipe a little bit better, because this I don't think quite curves as much, and then the plastic might start bumping into the film, but it's mostly on back windows, not so much on windshields. So still, like, if I get here, when I get to about here, I'm like, it starts pressing into that dash, and I just wish the blade was this much longer. I wish, like, just push it out like a quarter, or I don't know, but like that much longer, I think would be great. So this side swipe has the longer blade, so now you don't hear anything bumping up against the glass, and that blade will contour. It's just got a shorter reach there. So, but still, if I'm not all the way to the very bottom here, then I start grabbing another tool entirely. And that's where something like, on average, that we could use a bunch of different tools. But I like to use then something possibly sharper. So bulldozer isn't a bad bet. I really like the bulldozers. For corners, ooh, let me grab that other one too, actually. I rarely see you use the bulldozer. It depends on the back window. I use it on quite a few back windows. Like, I always bring it into a car with me. But if I don't have a deck lid, brake light in the way, then I don't really need it most of the time. So I'm always happy when I don't need it, but I still use it quite often. So this is the shortcut. This is also by Tri-Edge. They made this just for these corners, where you could sneak this in here, squeegee that water out, but it's not as good for squeegeeing around most of these contours. It's just too rigid. this has a little bit more flex to it. So I had high hopes for this one. It's handy to pick up for if you have to fit something in there, but then also, you guys hear me talk about the tail fin a bunch. Tail fin can do basically the same thing. It's just, this edge isn't always as smooth. As a squeegee, it's like a little, I don't know, it works really well, but there's sometimes it'll leave a little water trail behind, where this thing has a much better seal when you're squeegeeing it out. It's just very situational. So that's all a bunch of back window tools there. I'm gonna just squeegee this out one more time. So I squeegeed all the water out, or like one good pass the first time, but a little harder pass on the second time. Just trying to help this dry as soon as it can. But yeah, you can see, like, yeah, exactly, whatever works right. 100%. Like, there's so many little options that you can use for all those. Those are some of my favorites. So, like, my must-haves out of that would be... hang on, let me squeegee this down. Oh, did it fall? It fell. You've seen the bulldozer a bunch of times, but yeah, this guy. Bulldozer, it's a great bottom tool here. The only part is if I just go straight into this corner with it, I'm worried that if I lift it up, it'll pull the film out. So the way I tackle a corner with something like this, I do it at an angle, and that's usually good in a lot of situations, but this is wide. So if there's extra curve and extra paneling here, this is going to be fighting against the paneling and likely snag your tint. So that's why some of these slimmer tools are better. So must-haves for back windows are always get a bulldozer, get a side swipe, or if you want something a little bit more ergonomic, the Stroke Doctor is a great alternative to that. Shortcut's really good for the side corner. And then definitely get a tail fin. So like these are all really, really helpful back window tools. The must-haves that you see me in every car is like I'll run in with a side swipe, a bulldozer, and then tail fin's always like third on my list. And I can tackle almost every back window with that stuff there. But if I needed something more ergonomic, I'd lean towards something like this. Sun Distributing, Tint Depot. They both have all those tools. Really, really handy. Definitely show them some love if you're gonna pick them up. Oh yeah, there's the blue one. We use the purple. The purple is just a Tint Wiz edition one, which I really like too, but I'm almost out of it in this one, but still worked great. We did good. Let's squeegee off this Thanks, Matt. Just got a UPS update. Track from my tools. Looking forward to using that keg. Yeah, you're welcome, man. I fell behind on getting it out, but yeah, I was like, I gotta get that out this morning. I don't want it sitting around the weekend, so it should get there pretty quick. 3 days on. It's at like 3-day shipping on UPS. So yeah, you got those two boxes coming. So. I was like, I had them there, and then I went home, and then personal stuff and business, and you know how it goes. But yeah, Get it out. It's all good. It's on the way. It also makes me realize how much I only really do UPS shipping for like if I'm sending a big shipment of Glass Aid stuff out. But big boxes of Glass Aid is always expensive to ship. But it's the weight. Like a box of similar size of Glass Aid is like $25 to like $30 to ship. That was like, the keg was like 15, so really not bad. Have you ever tinted an i3 on stream? No. No, I've only had a couple of them. But not. I haven't actually done one here. It's when I tinted at the glass shop. I've did a couple of them there. I don't even have any great advice on those rear quarter windows because those are just tough. Even with the tools that I had, like trying to reach in there and squeegee all the air out, trying to like roll that film up so it stuffed into the quarter windows without any big hassles. Man, that was tough. I just flushed the hell out of it with a tint keg though, and I do the best I could. Unfortunately, that is not a fun quarter window to tint. All right. Definitely will dismantle the interior and I don't blame you on that one. Not one bit. That'll make that quarter window so much easier. Because it's pretty straightforward, except they put a ton of shit in the way. So then that makes it not straightforward at all. God, this windshield turned out so nice. We talked about your 4-foot LED lighting. Was there a reason you went with the cool white instead of the daylight bulbs? I think I went with the 5500 is what it should be. I know they give you a couple options, right? I'm pretty sure I picked the 5500. But I don't remember what it was when I showed you the listing, but those were the types of lights. So if we're having tinted around 3 months, do you think 2 vehicles per day is pretty good? After tinting for 3 months? Dude, that's great. Hell yeah. Yes, good. Yeah, I think 5500 is great. That's what these should be. So, for like, how many cars should you do in a day? It's a little subjective. Because for some people, tinting 1 car in a day is like, I mean, that's a substantial difference on what they were doing as far as another job. They're like, whoa, I got paid a full day and all I did was 1 car. This is amazing. So the more you stack that, the more money you're going to make, and also the higher that you charge per job. So that's why premium films is really crucial to your business too. Because then you do carbon, ceramic, similar amount of work with more upside. That's important. but without a windshield on most cars near the beginning, I don't know, like a good rule of, like a good time to shoot for is anywhere from like 2 to 3 hours. As an efficient tinter, 2 hours for everything but the windshield, I think is totally reasonable there. If you go over on some cars, that's fine. If try and, like, you know, just kind of like a broad average, couple hours per car. Generally, that's what I was aiming for at a shop. I mean, how long has the live stream been on this one? We moved pretty well on this one. So 3 hours right now. That's everything with the windshield. Yep, I'm actually, like, even with all the prep and stuff, I'm right in line. I'm right in line with, I'd want to go a little faster on a windshield for a shop, but I also sat there and set up cameras and stuff, so you can see, like, when you really get in a groove, things start going pretty nicely. And then you can make up that time. But I didn't have a significant, like, I was slower. What forced me to speed up was being forced to speed up. So when I'm setting my own schedules, I notice I'm definitely more lax about them. Or just, like, I always give myself extra time. But the flip side of that is when you work with a company, they don't care. I mean, they don't want people to come back and be angry, but they know that, like, hey, if I give you all day in a car, we can't afford to stay in business. So it doesn't make sense. You have to start stacking, and they're more about sales numbers, obviously, because that's what they have to deal with. So they have to they put more pressure on you, but you can force yourself to be better and faster. Like, better, I should say, you can force yourself to be faster and still maintain a good level of quality. You don't really know what exactly you're capable of producing until you're kind of put in those situations where you have to, like, you know, you got your boss yelling at you because, like, hey, I want to be out of here by 5, 6 o'clock, and you still got 3 cars to do. What the hell, man? And then you're like, well, I need time to make sure they don't come back. They're like, well, we need to pay our bills. And then it's, and then, yeah, there'll be some give and take there. But if you're put in situations like that, that's where I sped up a lot. Do a set of fronts, get a win, move forward. Mm-hmm. I finished my windshield, you would not be proud. Rip it off, do it again. I was already thinking of quitting Tint. Aw, that's sad. But I think time. So, like, if I'm practicing a windshield, like, okay, so for the classes, for example, we celebrated their windshields for about 10 seconds. We do a windshield install, we look at what the issues are, we talk about them a little bit, and then we literally just yank it off and do it again. That's how you practice doing a windshield. So you did it once, it didn't turn out all that well, that's fine. Rip it off, do it again. And then even if it turns out pretty good the next time, rip it off, do it again. You learn so much just rinse and repeating your own car. There's so much that you take forward to the next time that you do it. So don't sweat it. If you got a halfway, like you got a windshield shrunk and on there, cool, that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, Shit, I messed up a door window 3 times on stream right in a row. How long have I been tinting for? Shit happens. Especially when you're learning. Like, you can watch all the videos, you can practice it in your head, and then when you go to do it, it's just like, oh, I completely fucked up. Embrace it. Take exactly what you messed up, learn from it, and then try and improve it the next time. And you'll make a lot of similar mistakes over and over. Shrinking the film is my struggle? Okay, good. Sweet. So then practice shrinking a handful of times, like over and over. Like get to the part, shrink a windshield or a back window, cut it out, roll it up, save it. Put another piece and practice again. That way you're not going through the entire process. You're getting to the part where you're struggling, and then you just practice that part more. So reapply, if you're using dryer sheets, you know, try it a couple times, and every time you pull that sheet off, you gotta apply some more dryer sheet, wait a little bit, let it dry. But just keep repeating the part where you're really struggling, and then what's nice is you also have lots of back windows to practice with. This was something that we definitely did in the class. First thing that we did is we cut out door windows. We keep the ones that are decent enough. And then in the later part of the afternoon, we focus on installations. So then it's a lot of the same practice right in a row, and you can kind of figure out what's going wrong. Whereas if you gotta start the entire thing over from the very beginning, that kind of sucks because you kind of learn what you're doing wrong, but then you gotta start over, and then you're struggling with cutting, and like it's all, you just need to kind of really focus on the parts that are giving you a headache very quickly in a row. So I suggested, like, to some people that were having problems with cutting a top edge, try it once, shift the film up, do it again, shift the film up, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. And then you get familiar with it rather than just trying to cut an entire window, have one shot, and then you fail, and then you got to do the entire window again and again to get to that one point. So you'll speed up your practice a little bit that way too. All right, so this is all good. They're now super cool. This is about like a 10%, I think, in the back. Maybe a little slightly darker. Looks really good. I like this. So this is 35 over the factory privacy glass. So 35 over 20, 20 on the fronts, and then 70 on the windshield. So the windshield really doesn't even hardly look tinted at all. That's the nice thing about 70%, is it looks virtually clear. There's a slight shade. You pull this out into the sun, you wouldn't know unless somebody really told you about it. Looks good. Looks really, really good. I kind of want to put this right next to my Blazer and then show the difference between the two, but I don't, oh wait, I don't have my Blazer here today. Canon. Take the class. The hands-on, the ability to ask questions definitely boosts confidence. Aw, appreciate that, man. That's coming from somebody that was just here. Thanks, Mike. Glad you liked it. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of like small adjustments and stuff. And I can genuinely say too, like after running a handful of classes, yeah, they're genuinely helpful to everybody that comes out here. So I wasn't sure, like 3 days isn't a lot of time, but when it's focused practice, yeah, it definitely makes a difference. Woo! Thank you.
Ben Jensen super chatted
Ben
$4.99. Hey Matt, your videos have taught me a ton and give me the confidence to move forward and keep pushing. Thanks, man.
Ben, thank you so much for the 5. Hey Matt, your videos have taught me a ton and give me the confidence to move forward and keep pushing things, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Glad to hear that that these videos has helped a bunch. Really, really appreciate it. That's what they're there for. All right, we're going to shout out some super chats really quick. Big thank you to Ben, Swole Gang, DC, Customs. Oh, those are the supers today. Thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate it. Saying thanks really isn't enough, but thank you. No, it is. You're very welcome, man. I appreciate you guys just hanging out, asking questions, making this fun. That's why I like doing this. This is fun. How come my ceramic tint is not dark at 20%? Well, I mean, it's 20%. So 20% is like dark to some, and you probably sounds like you want something darker. 20% is going to be like what we put on the front doors here. So your silhouettes. Let me show you. We'll show you really quick. So perspective is part of it. So this angle looks really dark because we're looking into a dark cabin. But then this angle, if I look straight through, I can actually see, on the other side. But what I'm not going to be able to see is a lot of details here. So like I can see shapes of headrests, I can see the shape of the steering wheel, but I can't see a ton of details in there. And that's factory privacy glass. That's what that shade is. So that was on the back of here, and then we layered over it. This is another layer on top of it, which isn't quite as dark as limo, but it's definitely a step below this. So if you don't think, Canon, if you don't think 20 is dark, then you probably want to go towards 5. 5 is what you'd be looking for. Do you got the tint meter handy? I do. I'm just not going to meter it. When's the mobile tinting class? This is the mobile tinting class. You can ask as many questions as you want about mobile, but there's everything that I teach is you can carry that directly over to mobile. Most things that I do are 100% on the car. So this can change. But like the shop can change, but the vehicles is always what I rely on. So I pick patterns off of the car. I cut on the car. Glass aid. I have things to help protect the car. There's only a handful of things that, like, I have a double tint keg set up there. That's nice. I have carpet shield that I pull off of the wall. That's something that you need a setup for. Everything else is like, fuck, it's mobile, man. And for mobile, you're always tinting indoors. So this is as much of a mobile tint class as it is. It's just not, I'm never going to suggest tinting outside. It causes way too much problems. It hurts your business too much, in my opinion. If you really want to grow as a tint company, as a tint business, if you constantly are getting pushback from the weather, tinting outside, figuring out where to tint it, just get yourself a space, tint in other people's spaces. It's just going to slow your business down too much. It's not worth the cost, in my opinion. I mean, look at what are some of the more outspoken mobile people. That was Patrick. That was Alligator Window Tint. They're both getting, like, Patrick, he got a shop. Alligator, he's getting a shop built. People that do mobile that are really focused on growing their companies and doing better, they get shops. So everything I teach is you can take it to mobile, but I don't think 100% mobile is ever the way to go, really. Not unless you're doing architectural. I need to rent a storage unit to tint my truck. Hey, it'd be worth it. You'll see a big difference. You got shade and you don't have to deal with wind. So, alrighty, my dudes. I'm going to get off here. I got to deliver this truck. And y'all have a good weekend. Thank you so much for watching. This was a good one. Things went pretty smoothly here. So I'm pretty sure he's still waiting up front. So that's one reason I want to hop off here, so I can deliver the truck and everything. So y'all have a good weekend. This stupid window. bopped up. Sorry, it's just something on my screen. Weird. Alrighty, guys. Have a good one. Bye. Fog. Okay, we'll do that while we end. Bye.